Hi everyone, delonewolf here, and welcome back to some EVE Online. And in this video I want to show you guys some of the findings that I've done while spending some time on sisi, the test server for EVE Online, concerning the Oceanus build. So first of all, I went and tried to find a few wormholes just to see the new graphics and also the new backgrounds. I think I found a C1 and a C5. The C1, it's actually pretty bland, but I think that's normal. They wanted to, at least if I read the dev blog correctly, they wanted to show the difference in class of wormhole by basically making something more busy, more threatening, the higher the class, and so it's actually decently bland in a C1, but you can clearly see that it has a lot more detail and that it's now on par with what we have in normal space. So I did like it. We will have to relearn all of the wormhole graphics just to be able to tell by warping in on a wormhole what kind of class is behind that. That's not going to be as easy anymore because all of them actually get changed, and I had to look a little bit, what the hell is this? Turns out it was a C5, and unless you experience it a few times, I do think you could get surprised a little bit, especially if you use the old reference frame. Next up, the cloaking. We did have a new build or a patch just before the mass test, and so it seems to me like the cloaking has changed once again. So first, at the very beginning, the first release of what we saw on sisi, I actually liked it. You had like maybe some kind of 6-sided scales that would cover the ship slowly, and then basically stay there with some coloring that was like weaving its way through the ship model a little bit. I think everyone was pretty impressed with that, and it looked quite alright. After that, it seems that they changed something where at first you had much bigger scales that would cover your ship, and after that you would like switch back to the small scales we were used to from the first build. And honestly, I didn't really like that transition. It felt a little bit weird, but here now during the mass test, when I checked out the cloaking, it actually looked quite alright, but it was more triangle based. So you'd have like triangles that would start covering your ship, but they would basically not change in size, and then after that the end effect was actually a lot smoother, but I like the fact that it had no color in it anymore. So I think that the final iteration that I've seen on sisi so far has been the best. Keep in mind, of course, it's all subject to change, and we'll have to wait and see what CCP actually decides to deploy with Oceanus. Next up, the mass tests. Again, I think the performance was quite nice. There were more people on this mass test than the previous one. I'd say close to 500, like 480 or something like that in local during the post bash, and my client managed to maintain fully zoomed out 30 frames per second on average, I would say. Zoomed in, of course, it's a different matter, but one thing that I noticed this time is the big change once the post bash was over. Everyone aligned to the point gate. I actually jumped up to 60 frames per second, so I was a little bit surprised by just the act of an entire fleet shooting at something has a drastic influence on the frames per second that your client can manage. That did surprise me a little bit because it was basically cut in half. Still, overall, everything felt quite smooth. Once again, I was able to zoom in and zoom out very smoothly without texture poppings and all of that. So it does look to me like the new object factory, the new way for the client to show objects in space, actually could be a major improvement. I like that quite a lot. We also could opt in for the new notification systems, but it's not like they did a real test of that. They didn't spam us with notifications or anything like that. We just got a few bounties during the fight. It all seemed quite functional and quite intuitive, you know, just a right click on it, then you can find the settings button, and then you can start clicking what you want or don't want the notifications to show. It seems fully customizable. You could place it wherever you want on the screen, so it just seems very functional, pretty bare bone, but it seemed to do what it needed to do. So I think that looked pretty good as well. And then yeah, just to end the video over here, the fight, I thought the performance was pretty good here once again. I actually felt that this was much smoother than any of the other tie-dye fights that have been on TQ, and I think I'll just let the fight go for a little bit with the new Oceanus music that has been released. So there you go, guys, a quick roundup of my experience on CC for Oceanus. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you all next time.